Perfect. So we've opened up the webinar. I can see the first people are joining the session. That's great. So let's give it a couple of seconds before the numbers stabilize, and then we can start straight away. So it was actually great to see so many people registered and decided to join the session. Yeah, there's been a lot going on lately at the Native Lab, and I just thought and reached out because I thought it was a good moment to have a little chat. It's unfortunately not possible to speak to all of you separately and have a private discussion, even though I would love to. So I just thought I'll set up this call and have a chat with you guys and keep you posted on what's going on the Native Lab and what you can expect from us. And there's been a lot of people lately also joining, so it's a good chance to get to know us a bit better. Great. So I see that we're already 100+ people in the call, and the numbers look like they have stabilized. So I think we can just start straight away. The call should take more or less 30 minutes. Will depend a bit on how many questions there will be. Just so you know, to submit a question, you can use the Q&A button in the lower part of the screen. Normally we use Mentimeter. If you have been in some other webinars, we did. But for today we use the Q&A tool. I guess that's the easiest. Feel free to send the Q&A, the questions throughout the webinar as soon as they pop up in your head, and I will answer them all in the second half of this session. Before, I would like to take some time to briefly go through the Native Lab, why we exist, how we do our trainings, what programs we have, etc. So you have a better idea of what to expect, and maybe that will already clarify your question beforehand. Okay, great. So let's start. I think one important point I'd like to share today is briefly explaining why the Native Lab, why did we decide, and what's a bit the background story on how everything started. So the Native Lab is part of Managing Composites, which is an engineering company specialized on composites. It's a one-stop shop. So provides all sorts of services, starting from design or more conceptual, and the more conceptual phase up to manufacturing. And at the time, more or less 2.5 years ago, when COVID hit, more or less, the founders of Managing Composites decided to create the Native Lab, which is the training unit of Managing Composites. And that's where also my kind of story in Managing Composites starts. Since, I didn't say so in the beginning, but I thought it might be obvious. I'm kind of in charge of the Native Lab and I'm the manager there. So why did they decide to create this separate also brand and start this training unit? So mainly it's because of 3 reasons, and I think it's what makes our program special. Was that the founders, they had been themselves through a process where they felt like in the composites industry they could find their place, but somehow they didn't find training. So they gathered along 10 years of experience, and they felt, that other people might be in the same position, and they wanted to give something back to the industry, so to say. So first, I think they noticed that the kind of the training out there and the information out there was very theoretical. So the know-how about composites was very theoretical. At the same time, it was very much limited to aerospace and not kind of applicable to different sectors, be it the automotive one, which is a big one, but also other ones, the marine sector or even in sports goods, etc. And they felt like it was kind of outdated, what was out there. And thirdly, the companies that have the know-how, which is some of the companies they actually have worked at, they were a bit reluctant to share this. So I think they kind of embraced the mission to go out there, kind of spread the word, and that's actually one of the mission, or it's part of the mission of Managing Composites, to spread knowledge and know-how related to composites. And they thought it would be nice to give something back and start these programs and have it, something applicable that can be used the day after going through a training, for instance. And then they also realized, I guess, and this is very important, that, and you probably might share this view, is that the composite industry was in a very sweet, or is actually in a very sweet moment. There are a lot of growth opportunities also, and especially for people, for example, who are studying or graduates. I'll definitely recommend checking the options that the composites industry offers, and yeah, the possibilities to kind of develop a career in there. If we think, for example, of all the changes in mobility, electrification of road cars, the vertical takeoff and landing, etc., lightweight becomes just crucial, and so do composites. And they realized, also that with this growth of composites, there are startups trying to work with those materials, but often they lack the know-how. If they look for the know-how in the market, they don't find it. So they are actually looking more and more for talent with composites backgrounds, or they need to train it. So that's also why they decided, let's give it a try. Let's pull together the know-how we've created. And that's where the Native Lab started. So we started in COVID with a couple of webinars about monocoque design, about CATIA design methodology, about composite manufacturing technologies. And things slowly evolved to the programs we have today. Okay, so that's a bit the background story. I thought it was nice telling you, letting you know what really, where we come from and why we feel we can add something. So the idea is, that we can kind of give new insights, and actually for the first time really transmit how composites can be used to solve engineering challenges, and not just the the chemistry behind it or more the theoretical aspects. So now that I have briefly introduced the story behind us, just let me say a couple of things which I think are in common to all our trainings, and then we can jump into the details of some programs. And I think then it will also be a good moment to open up the Q&A, and you can go ahead and ask anything you want. So what do our composites trainings or programs have in common? Well, first of all, I think what differentiates them is that they are taught by top-notch experts. So it's all engineers who work at managing composites, but who have previously gathered their know-how and experience, are companies who have very much been active in the sector. For instance, part of the trainers have worked at Koenigsegg or at McLaren, so on the high-end automotive sector. There are a bunch of them who come from Airbus, so more the traditional composites. We have people who come from motorsports, especially Formula One, but also other teams or companies like Hyundai Motorsports. I mean, it's pretty mixed, and we gather all that know-how, put it together, and created our programs. I think that's what really makes them different and makes them industry related, which is what people in the end, or also from the feedback we receive from people like you, is what people are looking for. Actually, also nice background story is that through training is also how actually managing composites has started. And Nico, who's one of the founders, actually met Hugh, or was in a training with Hugh at that time, and that's how they got to know each other, and then they started working together, and today they have started managing composites in the Native Lab. So I was thinking that that's a kind of sweet story to tell. And also, actually, most of the people employed at managing composites have gone through one of our trainings. And yeah, we're training a lot of students around the globe. In considering all our trainings or programs, universities, companies, and people who just join the courses by themselves, we have been training more than 5,000 people in 2 years, and we're very proud of it. And most of them eventually end up working in big companies or important companies in the composite sector, like Solvay, Hexel. We have people ended up working in Formula One, which is very typical. And then there's a lot of startups, building vertical takeoff and land in the vertical and takeoff and landing sector, like Volocopter, etc. So we're very, this is what makes us proud when we see that our students shared something nice on LinkedIn and they say they found a job and they share a certificate. I think this is what makes it special. But yeah, back to what our trainings have in common. So firstly is the trainers that have this industry related know-how. And I think one important aspect of it is that they are active. It's not people who have retired, they are still working on projects through managing composites. And they keep updated, they work in different sectors. So I think this is something which makes our training special. And yeah, that's a bit how it goes. There's some, I think they're very applicable on the job and the trainings. And yeah, again, it's about how the composites can solve engineering challenges. And yeah, I think that's a bit an update, an introduction on how everything works. And yeah, we have different kind of programs. If you feel like it, you can just ask and I'll be happy to introduce them. If you have any other questions, I would say it's a good moment to open up the Q&A and you can go ahead and ask. I'm also happy to share about the roadmap that we have planned, so new programs that will come up. Yeah, more details on certain programs, etc. Feel free to let me know. Perfect. So I see the Q&A is open. So I see that there is, well, it's an anonymous attendee. Well, thanks for your question. I'll read it out loud. So hello, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. I want to know the content and plan of the composite materials subject. Perfect. I'm in my third years as a master's student and studying on my filament winding thesis. What can I learn more on this training? Perfect. So the composite material training was actually the first one we launched. This training is basically, to sum up, divided into 3 blocks. The first one is on the materials themselves. So the different fibers, the different cores, the different fabrics, different matrices, etc. And it's not only about knowing which fibers exist, etc., but how they can be used. So we apply them to different, real case, real life cases, components, and we see how they can be used and how they can help solve the challenge. And then the second part, which is probably the one that will interest you more, since you talked about filament winding, is where we talk about different manufacturing technologies. One of them is filament winding, but we talk also about the others. So RTM, pre-preg, SMC, and layup, infusion, etc. And the good thing is that we compare them, and also again we try to foster, the thinking behind them, and let you get an insight on how, or depending what you want to build, one technology will make more sense than the other. So even if you're particularly interested in filament winding, I think the draw the comparison to others will be great and helpful to broaden your insights. And then we have a final bit where we talk about composites design. It's the shortest one of the parts, so I wouldn't say it's the focus. I would say the first 2 blocks are the more important ones, but it gives you an idea. Also, once you understood the materials and the manufacturing technologies, a bit on how you can design with composites. So I hope to have answered your questions. I'll mark it as answered. In any case, always feel free to send us a mail and ask for more information. Great, I'll mark that one as answered. And then, so another question from Rien van den Akker. Sorry for the pronunciation. I'll also answer this one live. So the question is, if I'm correct, there are no lectures relating to thermoplastic composites. No, currently not. We briefly mentioned it, thermoplastic composites, in the composite materials program, which I just highlighted or outlined. Still, it's actually one thing on our roadmap. There should be updates in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then we will be probably opening and launching the pre-order, so there should be definitely something. If you have any suggestions or want to dig a bit more deeper and let us know what you're really looking for, we're more than happy to receive your inputs. So yeah, definitely something coming up. We feel like it's a big topic in the industry right now. Thanks for your question, Rian. So Manfred has also a question. Considering the inherent variability in natural organic fibers, do you believe that natural fiber composites will be relegated to cosmetic and non-structural, at least non-critical components? Okay, I think I'll be short on this because we could go on for ages, and I'm actually not the biggest expert on natural fiber composites, to be honest. So I'll take that away. Well, there's, I think, a lot to do. We did actually some webinars with BCom on the topic, and yeah, I think this question was kind of the one popping up a lot. You know, how do natural fibers compare to other fibers, and how will they end up being using? I think the question is still open. I think there's no clear answer, or I wouldn't feel comfortable giving a clear answer. But yeah, it feels like at the moment it's gonna be more on the cosmetic and non-structural side of things. Still, since we also feel same as with thermoplastic that it's a big topic, there will be actually also a program on natural fiber composites. And there again, it will kind of resemble the structure of the composite materials program. So going a bit through the different fibers, in this case, natural fibers, how you can manufacture, how you can, test, do characterizations, etc. And then there will be a final part with an external partner, hopefully, where we show how natural fibers can be used nowadays and what the roadmap for them are. Great, thanks, Manfred, for your question. I hope to have answered. Great. I see there's a follow-up questions from Rian. So are you planning to include them? I guess this relates to the previous one on thermoplastics. So as I said, we're planning to have something on that topic. In case you're interested, let me know. Perfect. So I marked this one as answered as well. Then we have one question from Viswanathan from India. Great, probably pretty late in there, so thanks for joining, even considering the time. So you're a textile engineer. Is it useful for me? If it is, so which one suits for a textile engineer? Depends a bit. I wouldn't say, to be honest, I wouldn't say that most people who do our programs are textile engineers, but they have been in the past. And normally with the program they chose is the composite materials program, because it's the one that gives you an overview of different aspects of composites. So more on the material side, of the fibers, matrices, again, how I explained just a couple of minutes ago. And then you have the insights on the manufacturing technologies, and then you jump to design. So I would say it's I think the very nice thing about that program is that it covers many aspects and kind of sheds light on different things. So it gives you a nice overview, and also it's a good way to start and understand different people working with composites. So yeah, maybe you want to start with that one. Great, I'll mark that one as answered. This one as well. Perfect. For now, there are no further questions. Someone was wondering whether the introduction was a bit too long, I guess, and whether it would be beneficial for everyone. I hope it wasn't too long, but I thought it was good to go through these points. Many people have registered. There have been a lot of registrations recently, and yeah, as I said in the beginning, we didn't have the chance to speak to all of them. So especially for those people who joined recently, we thought it would be a good thing to have them get to know us a bit better and have the chance to meet us and put a face to the native lab also, at least one. But if for you it wasn't the most helpful thing, I'm sorry. Great. So there are more questions, seems like. I'll just go ahead. So Viswanathan again, very active. That's great. So Indians trained by the native lab, having placed in Indian companies. So all the programs are taught online, which is something I didn't mention before. They have different modes. Some are self-paced, some are instructor-led, but they are online. So we have people from all over the world doing our trainings or programs. The time zone shouldn't be a problem, for instance. And yeah, we have people from India. Actually, we have quite a few people from India joining our programs. And yeah, we've also worked with some company. I cannot disclose that information, unfortunately, but we had some companies who did actually also they took some packages and have been going through our programs as a company training. So yeah, that's also an option. And if you're interested by yourself, feel free. Again, all the programs are online, and most of them are self-paced, and even the instructor-leds, we always leave the recordings after the live sessions, so everyone can go through them. Great, thanks for your question. I'll mark that as answered. Okay, thank you, perfect. Great. For now, then, no further questions. There were 9 in total, or at least that's what the count says. I think it was a bit less because some were double. Great. I'll give it another minute. Maybe someone is typing out a further question. Just as a closing remark, meanwhile, maybe someone is thinking about their last question. Okay, next question, sorry. So period of training duration depends a lot on the program. So the first thing to keep in mind is that all programs have a guaranteed access of 1 year, which doesn't mean that training takes 1 year, but that you can go through the materials for 1 year. Depends a bit, so they are different lengths. We actually encourage to do it the following way. All the courses, be it self-paced or instructor-led, are normally, especially the self-paced, but also the instructor-led, we are starting to do this more and more, is we trim down the videos or make sure that the videos or the learning content is divided up in videos that go from 10 to 15 minutes. And we try to encourage a so-called way of learning, which is called micro-learning, so that you basically watch one video a day. I don't know, after lunch, before you go to bed, whenever everyone feels the best. When everyone feels it's the best time to do it. And then you can basically, watch one by one. You get a schedule. You don't absorb too much information at once, which often is a problem when learning. And yeah, I think you can just enjoy best. Once we had the feedback, I thought it was a pretty nice one. At least I liked it, and I think it was also very nice and funny. But someone told us it was like watching Netflix, where you watch one series or one chapter. Oh, sorry, one episode. That's the right word in English. Sorry about that. One episode after the other. So that's a bit the concept I would recommend. Again, you have 1 year to do it, but if you would apply this kind of 1 video a day thing, I would say with self-work, etc., maybe 1 month, 1.5 months, 2 months, depending on which program, should be more than enough. Great. So this one is answered. More questions from Matthew Cunningham. Thanks for your question, Matthew. So you work in the film industry and teach automotive design at the school in California. Wow, this is a very special thing. I wouldn't say most people have your background, but that's cool. So school in California called Art Center. Does your company have any international partnerships with design universities? Thanks for the information on the natural fiber composites, Matthew. With universities, definitely. So we teach at a bunch of universities, mainly locally. So we're based in Spain. Most of them we teach at in Spain because they require, going every week face-to-face to teach. We have done some works with some online universities, also abroad Spain. So definitely we're open for it. send me a mail, and I'll be happy to follow up on that point. So to be honest, design on universities, to be a bit more specific, we haven't. Well, there's one in the. I mean, it's a university that has a design part, but we ended up working with the motorsport section of the university. So yeah, yes and no, kind of the answer. But yeah, it's definitely something we could explore, and we actually have people on our team who teach, who have more like the product design or design background. So they'll be definitely happy to actually go back to their roots. Perfect. I think I have answered, but yeah, definitely something we can discuss. Great, I'll mark that as answered as well. So great. That was 2 more questions. Amazing. Are there more questions? Please go ahead. Anyway, I was saying before, yeah, I wanted to mention that apart from the programs, so the full programs we have on composites, on monocoque design, on CATIA, design methodology, etc., we also have free courses, which are normally called Introduction to, which have normally also been offered as webinars before or as masterclass, which are also more or less on the same topics as the full programs. So yeah, on composites, we have one on monocoque design, on CATIA design methodology. We actually have one on natural fibers, which was kind of when we started thinking about launching a program on the topic. And yeah, you can all find them on our web. They are free, they are unlimited, the access is unlimited. So if you just want to have a look on how it works and also get to know a bit more of the trainers, I think they're a great way to have a look at them. And then we also have Composite Talks, which is sort of a podcast kind of thing where we interview people who work in the industry. We actually don't do it as a podcast, we do it as a webinar, and then we leave the recording on the website. It's called Composite Talks. Just go to thenativelab.com and you'll find it. Great. There have been no further questions whilst I was making my final point. So I guess that would be it. Thanks everyone for joining. Spot on 28 minutes or half an hour. So great everyone for sending your questions through. I hope to have answered them all. If you have any other questions, and also because I mentioned that you can always mail me, you can mail me at Tommaso, so spelled like my name, as should appear on the screen, with a double M and 1 S, which is normally what people confuse. So Tommaso at thenativelab.com. If you go to our web, that's also the mail, the support mail, the contact mail that will appear. And yeah, feel free to just send any questions or yeah, follow-up remarks, feedback on this session. It's sort of the first time we do kind of a Q&A session. So yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it. Thanks everyone. And there will be the recording, so you can go through it. Thanks again. People thanking me in the Q&A. That was great. Thanks for your questions. Have a good one. Bye-bye.